Hi, I'm Janet Trevino, and I am today in Mexico. And while I wait for people to join us, this is one of their desserts here. My parents grew up here in the place that I'm at in Nuevo León, Mexico. That's one of the states. They have something called glorias, which I grew up eating. But I would share a little bit with you. It is goat milk candy. Really good. Anyway, well, welcome to the Cuddlist Talks video on family and touch. Now I realize now I'm all chewing this and it's going to be interesting to do some talking with it. All right, so two big stories that have happened while I've been here, and I want to share this with you all. So often we meet people who are touch deprived, and that touch deprivement really leads them to kind of like isolate themselves because it's really hard to get touch in our world. So I've been to one funeral while I've been here and met with my mom's cousin, who actually had a son. Her first son passed away. And so there's been lots of talk of dying and death and need and suffering and pain. And so when my mom's cousin came by and visited, she was talking about her need to get on some meds. Like, she just can't handle it. It's so painful for her, and there's all of this stuff, and she's starting to feel like really terrible. And I'm all about, like, get on your meds. Like, take care of yourself, please. If you're hurting in any way, please get medical attention. And at the same time, I said, you know, one of the things that cuddlists do, what I do for a living, is that we're here to give touch for those who need it. And so often, people are like, well, yeah, people give her hugs. And I said, what about a hold? How many people actually provide you a hold? And so I think that is what I offered. I said, would you be okay if I held you? And she said yes. And so I extended an embrace, and we talked about why I was holding her. I talked a little bit about the need for touch and why touch is so important and valuable, especially in times of suffering and in times of grief. And as I held her, it took about, maybe about 2 minutes or so, when suddenly she began to release and she began to cry. And she had emotions that she hasn't been able to express, because in many cultures, having emotions are something that we want to get rid of and put away. And especially with her other children, they don't want to see their mother crying. They don't want to see their mother in pain. So like, Mom, let's move on, let's get over it. But so often people are living with that suffering, and they need to have that release. And so, yes, asking for the touch that you need. And so I told her, you can ask for it. You don't need to, maintain this facade of strength, when really what you need is to be touched and to be held. And so, then I thought, so often we ask for hugs. What about asking for a hold? Would you hold me? So think about the distinction there, and think about how you may hold someone in your life and how they may need to have that kind of embrace. An embrace that lasts for 5 minutes. You can ask for a hold that, put a timer on it. So often we're like, well, I don't know, and how do I do that? And we'll just put a time on it and experience that. So that's the first thing that I think that's really been important that I've experienced, is asking for what you want, offering if you feel like someone needs that. And the other thing I wanted to share quickly is about also saying no. So again, during this week, and people who don't know what I do, it's makes it a lot of fun to kind of share and to play around with touch and asking for it and being in my own boundaries. And so I had an uncle who, to get my attention, so imagine this is my body, he would smack me on my arm, like hit me, and then he would tell me something. Like, he wouldn't use my name, he wouldn't look at me, he would just hit me and say, hey, and then make some comment. And I was like, what? What are you doing, right? At first it was shocking. Oh my gosh, someone just hit me. And then started talking to me, and it took me about 30 seconds for me to just kind of process. This thing just happened. My body was violated, right? That was so disrespectful. And now, okay, what am I gonna do if it happens again? Right? So the first time, after a few minutes, it's awkward. You're, having dinner with family, you're not gonna say, hey, remember that time a couple minutes ago when you hit me? you know how it is. It's difficult to like go back in the past. Like it really needs to be addressed in the moment and at that time. So I said, if it happens again, I'm gonna say something. And lo and behold, of course, it happened again. He hit me. And I took his hand, because in a cuddling session, if someone puts their hands on us in a way that's uncomfortable, one of the ways, and in a cuddle party as well, we encourage you take someone's hand and you take it off. If you can't find the words, just do it yourself, right? I took his hand and I said, no, you do not hit me to get my attention. That was huge, and everyone laughed. Like, because everyone's watching and listening, and I said no. And then I answered his, like I responded his, whatever he was talking about, and honestly I have no idea. Now, I have no idea what we were talking about, because it was irrelevant. It was me exerting that place. I have agency, right, in my family. Even though he's older than me, I do have agency to say what I like and what I don't like. And then to have the power to then say, no, you don't hit me, you don't touch me, right? So, you know, if this has happened to you, when someone has done something to you physically, you know, again, you're in shock. Give yourself a moment, reflect, think about it, and then prepare yourself for the next time, because again, it usually happens again. And get ready to tell someone, at least tell them no, at least move their hand, say no, this is not something that I like. Anyway, so two really important things that I wanted to share. One, ask for what you want. Instead of asking for a hug, ask for a hold, or offer a hold instead of a hug. Sometimes people need holds, especially during times of grief. And secondly, say no, right? Say no when it doesn't feel right, when it's not meeting your needs, when it's, yeah, just say, move someone's hand, tell them no, and move on. And since then, guess what? He has not done it again, thankfully. So thanks again for watching. I love you all. Take care. See ya next time. Next week, Friday.